What's up? What's up, everyone? Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday, YouTube. Happy Sunday, Facebook Live. And happy Mother's Day. I am sorry on Facebook Live. It's a little dark. We got new lighting in here, and it's a little darker than it usually is, but I hope you can see me. I hope it's good. Um, happy Mother's Day, everyone. I am really excited about today. So I'm doing something that I've not done before, that I've never done before. It's been a full year since I've broadcast, and you guys have seen my husband, the Brick House Chef. You've seen my cousin from My Kind of Thing, Aniqua. And today I am bringing on live for the first time my mother. It's Mother's Day, so why not, right?
Hi, I'm Pam. I'm her mom, of course, as she says. Happy Mother's Day to all you mothers out there. This is a special day for all of us, and so enjoy it and embrace it.
Um, okay, typically I broadcast about early childhood related topics. That's my field, that's what we talk about. And I always talk about, you know, just developmental things as it relates to early childhood. But today, excuse me, allergies, right? Today, I wanted to do something a little different, but I do want to show you before we do this how it's still connected, right? So early childhood, these stages of child rearing when you're a parent of a child between the age of 0 through 5, which are the early childhood years, those years are very, very important. And one of the most important things about those years are the relationships, right? So relationships that the children forge and create between 0 and 5 really help build who they become, who they are. And so today, I want to share a little piece of someone who's been in my life since birth, right? And the relationship that we have. And so it's interesting, mother-daughter relationships, right? I am an only child. I mean, I'm not an only child, I'm an only daughter. I have a brother, but I'm the only girl. And so what I've experienced, you know, I've heard from other daughters who, you know, their relationship with their mothers, that sometimes it can be really interesting, right? To say the least, interesting. It can be a very interesting relationship. Different personalities, different dynamics. And sometimes I've heard that there are mothers and daughters who don't get along at all, which I think is very unfortunate. And then mothers and daughters have the super closest relationship, and then something in between. You know, a mother-daughter relationship, it's okay for it to be bumpy. Relationships are bumpy, period, right? It happens. But it is still a bond that cannot be broken. No matter what you go through, still my mother, I'm still her daughter, it is what it is. So what I've done today is I've asked my mother to come on and have 5 questions that I don't know what she's gonna ask me, but I want her to ask me 5 questions. I told her to think of them. She has the questions, right? They're there. I've not seen them. I don't know what she's gonna ask me, but I'm gonna answer them honestly. And I've done the same. I have 5 questions for her. And so we're about to get into it, and that's what it'll be. You go first.
Okay, I'll go first. Okay, like she said, she's my eldest and my only daughter. And before I go into the questions, I just want to say, first of all, I'm so proud of her, okay, being the oldest and being my only daughter. As I said, there is a relationship that we have that I think is a real close relationship. Of course, it gets rocky sometimes, but just like she said, I love her. I love her, and I know she loves me. So always a lot of prayer, and we'll get past all of it. So I'm going to start with my first question for her. What does it mean to you to be a mother? What is your description of a mother?
A description of a mother. So to me, being a mother means that you have a life of a person that you're responsible, or people, in my case with 3, that you're responsible for shaping and putting something into them, pouring knowledge, exposure, information into them. But it also, being a mother also means to me that you have little people that you get to learn more about yourself based off of. Like, children teach you so many things. So for me, motherhood means you teach a little one something, but you also learn about yourself through a little one.
Okay, you want me to just go through?
No, it's my turn.
Okay.
So my turn now, right? What kind of child was I growing up?
I knew she would have some difficult questions for me, but they're not very difficult because she was an excellent child. She was a quiet child, okay? She was a child that pretty much, she liked to be alone a lot, okay? She did not like a lot of embracing. She did not like a lot of kissing. And see, that was something hard for me because I'm kissy, kissy, huggy, huggy, lovey, lovey, and to kiss me.
Okay, so I was a quiet child
Mm-hmm.
and not a kissy, kissy child.
Not a kissy, kissy.
So what
child.
other type of child was I? What would you say stood out to you about me? This is still question number
Well,
one.
her creativity. I mean, she was always making something. She was always sharing her knowledge on something with her brother, who's 6 years younger than her. She was always teaching him stuff, which I really felt that she was going to be a teacher. She said it, but sometimes she didn't say it at the beginning. I guess because, like all children, sometimes it takes them a while to really know what they want to do in life. But just the things she did, always, what she would learn, she would want him to learn. Okay, so she was like pretty domineering, okay, but not with me and not in a bad way, but always.
She said I was bossy. She said I was bossy.
Yeah, she was a little bossy now.
I can take that.
Okay, she was a little bossy. Okay, but you know how we say too, basically too, when you're bossy, then she wind up having a little bossy one herself. But yeah, she was bossy. But like I said, she had a strong personality. Okay, and definitely was always doing something very creative and showing her talents that God has given her. Do you find it different in raising the boys as opposed to the girls? And in what way?
Yes, I do. So this is an interesting question because when I found out we were having a girl, and so for those of you who don't know, I have 2 older boys and then the 4-year-old is a girl. So my boys are 15 and 12, and then the little girl, she is 4. And I don't know, for some reason I thought that when I knew that I was going to have a girl, I was like, I'm going to do everything the same way because I didn't want to, I had this vision of, oh, I'm not going to have any gender differences or things like that. I'm going to just raise them, and what they choose to do is what they choose to do. But it's interesting because from the moment I was in labor with my daughter, I felt something different that I've never felt before with the boys. Now, it could be the fact that for my daughter, I decided to not do any epidural, no medication, nothing like that. But I actually decided those things because I was having a girl. So that decision was actually made because I was having a girl, because I wanted to show a certain level of strength just to bring her into the world. So I had decided I'm not going to do that. And so from that day moving forward, I feel like with my daughter, because I know that she's watching me, I always feel like I have to show her a certain level of strength that doesn't, so that she understands, yes, it's okay to be frightened, because being frightened of things is okay, but it's even more powerful to be brave and courageous through the fear, through the pain, through the hurt, through the whatever, to be able to do that. And so I think I started her journey like that in my decision to not even have an epidural to birth her. And then funny story, about 2 weeks ago, she came running to my bedroom and she saw a water bug. It happens, right? They're disgusting. And I am really scared. Like, right? And so I'm saying that low because my daughter's actually close by. And, you know, I mean, I shouldn't even say it low because I told her that I was. But when she came to the room and told me that, when she came to the room and told me that, my husband wasn't home. And my first instinct was to run into the room and bring her in the room with me and hide under the covers, and that's what we were gonna do. And I was this close to doing it until I seen the look in her face of like she was really afraid, and I just went into like
the mommy mode.
No, well, you know what? I wasn't even thinking about. Yes, sure, I guess I went into warrior mode, and I was like, "We're gonna get it! We're gonna get it!" And I started screaming, and I got a shoe, and I got a broom, and I was like, yeah, 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 yeah! And I crushed it, and I was screaming inside, like crying, and I was like, ah! And she was just she was watching me, but I crushed it, and I was like, yeah! And then I called my son, and I was like, come sweep this up, please. And he swept it up, and I was just like, like I ran in the room and I was like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. But I feel like with the boys, I would have never, I mean, come on, 15 years old, and I had never, my oldest, and I never crushed a water bug before. But because I would be like, hey, you go do that, go crush it. And he'd be like, no, I'm not doing that either. But I never even thought to put on a brave anything for my sons. And so that's the biggest difference.
Okay, but you realize now you have to be brave for them too. I mean, they're up
Totally.
in age now, but you have to be brave for them so that they can see. And I truly believe that they see that their mother is strong. They see that she's very strong and courageous, you know. But yeah, some things. Now it's funny that you say that because I can think back to when you were afraid of it, and again, a water bug, a mouse, you know, when y'all were coming up. And I was actually a single mom later on in life when they were still little, her and her brother. So I had to put on the warrior cap because I never wanted them to see that I was afraid of anything.
Right.
I never wanted them to see. I said I had to do this. And see, I know y'all know that with children, you know, a lot comes out of you that you didn't even know that you had in you. To be that mommy, to be that protector, you know, to be that pretty much like a savior for them. You know that you want everything to be done right for them. And if that means for you to show some strength and stand tall and be courageous so they could see that you're courageous and, you know, don't fear it. Even though inside, like she says, I did it a couple of times.
Well, see, I told her I was afraid, and that's the difference though. Because I did. I said to her because after I crushed it, she wouldn't go back in her bedroom, and so we wound up laying in bed together. And she was like, I can't do that, and I was like, you know what? I thought that I couldn't either. I was so afraid. I told her, I was like, I was so scared, but I did it. You know. So I think that it's also important to show her, for me to tell her, I was afraid, or I am afraid, but we are still pressing forward and we are still gonna kill it, and that's it. So let's see, what are some things that you enjoyed doing when you were growing up? What kind of child were you?
Oh, okay. I was very adventurous, but not to the point where adventurous, like courageous and stuff. It was like I could never really be still. I always wanted to try new things, to do new things, to be outdoors. I'm an outdoor person. I don't like to be cornered in. I love the sun. I love being outdoors. So I was one who, whereas I come from a family with 2 girls and a boy, and I'm the youngest. So whereas my sister who were close to me, she would stay indoors, read comic books, and where was I? I was outside playing hopscotch, in the street playing loadies. I was in the, you know, scalies. She don't even know what loadies is. I know y'all used to, then when they got older, that generation, the next generation called it like scalies or something like that.
Oh,
Scallies or something like that, but we called it loadies, you know. But yeah, I would be out there in the street riding my bike. I would be out there playing jump rope. So I was never really indoors. I always was an outdoor person. But I also love to read. I love to color. I love to draw. So when I was indoors, those were the kind of things I was doing. I love music, just like I still do today. What does it mean to you to be the oldest out of you and your brother?
So that's interesting. Excuse me, y'all. Being the oldest was fun at times, but it was also a little stressful. It was a lot of pressure. I felt like I had to set an example. Hold on, wait, no, that's not true. I felt like it depends on the stages of our growth. So when I was younger, when he was first born, I felt like I had to be his mother. And so I think I took that role of being like a second mom to him in my head.
She was.
Right, so in my head, I was like his second mom. Then I became a teacher to him. So I felt like I had to teach him. And so that was where the part of being an educator already as a young child, like I used to feel like it was my duty to teach him the things that I knew. Even though we were 6 years apart, I felt like when I'm learning algebra, you need to learn algebra. Like even though he didn't understand it, I was like, we gotta sit down, we gotta teach you gotta learn it. I felt like I had to be a protector. Like I felt like I had to protect him. And I feel like that in some situations now where I'm like, I want him to be good, I want him to be like safe, I want him to be happy. And now I'm at a stage also where I'm learning so much from him.
Mm-hmm.
Like he teaches me so much without him, like verbally and non-verbally, he teaches me a lot. And so it means a lot of different things. If you knew...
I'm sorry, I had a second part to that question.
Oh.
Has your outlook changed in regards to being the oldest since you were younger to now? So basically it hasn't, or has it changed in a way?
I think it transformed. I think that I babied. You know what? I know that I was meaner to him. I know that I was meaner to him than I probably should have been. And
bossy,
but like younger siblings have a way, and so you don't know this because you're not an older sibling at all, right? So I'm the oldest and she's the youngest. It's very different, right? Younger siblings can push your buttons, and so he used to dare me to do things. Like when you're being dared to do things constantly, I used to be like, all right, well, if you're gonna dare me to do something, like there was one time where I told him to get his pillow from off my bed, and he was like, no. Like little siblings push buttons, and I'm sure that your older siblings can attest that you probably did that, right? So he pushed my buttons, and he's like, no, I'm not gonna take my thing off, take the pillow. And so I throw the pillow across the room to him, and he throws it back to me, and I was like, if you don't take your pillow off my bed, I'm going to kick it down the hallway, down the stairs, like outside of the apartment.
Oh no.
And he was like,
no, mommy wasn't around.
She wasn't around. He goes, I dare you. Well, then you dared me. So then that means let's do this. And so I picked up his pillow and he was like, no, you won't. No, you won't. And I opened the front door, and we lived like on the 5th floor, and I kicked it all the way down the steps to the 4th floor, and he was like, you really did it. Why would you dare me? Like younger siblings provoke older siblings to do things, and then they stand there and look shocked when it happens. And he used to dare me to do stuff like every day. He used to dare me to do things like every day. So what was that?
And-
But it does work both ways, and so I'm sure that I provoked him to do things, but I was in my own big sister world, so I would say that I didn't provoke him to do things. I know that I definitely didn't dare him to do things. Like, he dared me to do things, so I guess, yeah, in a way, I'm like, maybe I would have done some of that differently.
Okay.
If you knew then what you knew now, as far as parenting is concerned, what would you tell 25-year-old mommy Pam? What parenting advice would you give her?
That's a really difficult. The 25-year-old mom now. Well, 25 years old. Of course, I didn't know back then. Trial and error, and I'm one that God has sent me some really great role models and mothers into my life, because actually when I was 25, my mother had been gone for like 3 years already. So it was difficult for me to raise her without my mom. At 25, I mean, I was going through a whole lot of stuff at 25. Okay, not knowing, let's say, being a single mom, looking for babysitters. I think that was the hardest thing. Okay, as well as, some other things. It was challenges always. How I'm gonna get her to school, how I'm gonna get this, how I'm gonna get that. But what I would tell a 25-year-old now, if you put your trust in God, as I did, and I thank my mother so much for raising us in the church, that things will work out. They may not look like they're gonna work out for you, but if you put God as the head of your life, you'll see things churn around. You'll see people be placed in your pathway that can help you. Babysitters, bus drivers. I had someone that I used to be running to the bus every morning to get them to school and then forget me to school and all of this. And I had a bus driver that he would put his hand over the thing and say, you don't have to pay for you. I will tell a 25-year-old,
You, a 25-year-old
me to calm down, to just keep praying, to keep looking to the hills, knowing that my help will come from God. Not to be nervous, not to be anxious, not to complain, but just to pray, and things would work out right.
So you would tell yourself that
Yeah, I would tell myself to keep going, keep striving, keep pushing, don't ever give up. Okay, you would get discouraged at times, but don't let it get you discouraged where you sit back and give up on what your dream is, give up on how the way you want to raise your children, and it don't matter what anybody says, either you're doing this wrong, you're doing that right. I mean, you consult with God. I knew what my mother placed in me. I would go back in my mind to see and think how she would handle it, and I would handle it that way. Now, as an early childhood educator or director, when hiring teachers, now I'm interested in
wearing that hat.
Now, yeah, she's wearing the hat of her director mode.
Okay.
What is it that you look for in those teachers when you hire them?
Passion first, because when you're an early child, when you're a teacher, period, if your heart is not in it, well, I don't want you in my classroom. Because book smart and being able to recite philosophers and other people in education, anyone could do that. Anyone could study a book and be able to recite that information. But not everyone can be patient with a child who knocks over a cup of water on the table when you're in the middle of doing a lesson plan or when you're in the middle of implementing something, right? The way that you respond and react to the child who picks his nose and then tries to hug you, because that happens, or like I said, the child who spills something, or a child who you can't get through to. The way that you respond, okay? Janessa, say it again for the people in the back. The way that you respond to a child has all to do with passion and very little to do with what you picked up in a book. And so for me, hey. For me, I look for the passion first, and then the next thing I look for, like I even ask them scenarios of if this happens, how do you react? And when they try to tell me some cookie cutter response that I'm like, that wouldn't even work in a real classroom. You're not hired. So my next question is, what are you most proud of as it relates to what you've done so far as a parent?
Woo. I am so proud when I look at my children, the respect, the responsibility they have, the creativity that they have. Okay, I am so proud of them. Okay, that they're not even. Everyone has a fear, but we definitely pray and we rebuke those fears. But I see that they move forward. They keep coming. They keep going with what they believe. Okay, so the strong personalities, you know, knowing that too, that they can succeed in life and be anything that they want to be, you know. And I think I showed them that by me doing. I hope I did. Okay, I hope I did. Okay, reach for your dream. It doesn't have to be a dream. The dream can come to a reality. Okay, so I'm very proud to see them doing what they want to do in life. Okay, and then giving back. Okay, because we should always give back. Okay, I think you might have asked this question. I answered this question. I said, being that your teaching is the beginning of shaping a child's life, because you have the early child education. So we're talking about the 2, 3, maybe years old, 4 years old, those little guys. Okay, what is the most important thing that you would want them to learn at that early age?
The most important thing that I would want them to learn, being who you are is the best thing that you can do. And the sooner that you're able to quiet the noise of all the things that would try to steer you from being who you are, the better it'll be for you. The sooner, the earlier you can learn that. So my children tend to come off to people as very self-centered. I've heard people say that before. Kind of self-centered, kind of, some would even say that they don't listen to other didn't listen to authority and things like that. I would argue that that's, not the case. But what people are seeing is me already instilling in them to try to quiet the noise of people who are trying to deter you from doing something different from what you are set on doing. Now, when you have very young kids and you're trying to teach them that message, they're gonna miss the mark sometimes, right? They're going to sometimes be like, oh, all right, yeah, I learned, do me. That's right, focus, do what I need to do. And so they will quiet the words of wisdom sometimes because they are so doing this, like focused on their own thing. But with time, I would hope that what I'm instilling in them is to recognize that some of the things that they're hearing are words of wisdom, and some of it is noise. It's easier for me to have them just, if they say that this is what I want to do in life, and they're very little, it's easier for me to say to them, all right, do what you got to do. That's right, focus. Don't let anyone tell you differently, right? And as they're growing, sometimes they tell the words of wisdom, no, I'm not listening to you. No, I'm not listening to you, right? It's easier for me to go back to them and go, hey, that's not a person that's noise. Listen to that person. Hey, that's not a person that's noise. Listen to that person. It's easier for me to take that approach than to tell them, listen to everybody who's talking to you, who is an elder. Listen to all of them, because everybody who's an elder doesn't have their best intention in mind. And everybody who's an elder is not telling them something that's wise. And so I'd rather not start them off like that and then have to make them filter, filter all the things that they heard from the elders, because then they have to filter that elder actually steered me incorrectly. You know, they turn around and they're 20 years old and they're just like, well, this person had told me to do this and this was an elder and I had to listen to them, because then I have to turn around and go, you know what? They didn't know crap. Or they didn't know anything. Or they were all messed up. I'm so sorry you listened to that elder. So I'd rather come from this angle, and I think my children, I could see that in them as they start to get older. My 15-year-old listens to, he's able to filter the wisdom better. Yep, so yes, cuz as I grew up, I found myself being very disappointed. That's a good point, right? You found yourself being disappointed because certain elders that you listened to, you were like, what? What?